Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. And thanks for coming, sacrificing your Saturday morning to listen to people like me come and rant about everything that's wrong with the world. Now, I'm a type of person that I find it very difficult to refuse somebody when they ask for help, especially young, aspiring entrepreneurs. So when Tommy and Sibusiso approached me to come and speak to you guys, I seized the opportunity. Now, normally I charge for keynote addresses quite a bit of money, and my agent says that whenever I speak for free, I'm killing a tree in the Amazon. So I should never speak for free. But I say, well, I don't care. Because for me, knowledge is something that grows the more you share it. Isn't that true? So that's why I like to go out and speak to young people. I work with young people all the time. At IT Varsity, we're working with young people, we're working with youth, we're trying to encourage them. And that's why I'm here today, to try and encourage you more than anything else. Not so much to inform, not so much to educate, but more to encourage you. And I'm going to tell you why. But before I encourage you, I'm going to destroy you. All right? But not in a bad way, in a good way. Now, with just a few facts, I'm going to tell you what disruption really is in this world today. What's going on in our world. Fact number one, the top 10 in-demand jobs this year didn't exist 10 years ago. Sorry, I'm going the wrong direction. Now take a look at some of these jobs on the screen in front of you. These are jobs that 10 years ago there wasn't even a job description for this. There weren't people doing these jobs. But today, if you go on job sites, you'll find that these are the top jobs. These are jobs that companies are actually looking for people, desperately looking for people to do. Fact number two, half of all the jobs people are doing today are going to disappear in the next decade. Between 2020 and 2030, half of the jobs that people are doing today are going to be obsolete. Now that sounds scary, right? Oh, it is scary. Fact number three, the formal employment sector is on a decline, not just in South Africa, but globally. What it means is, thanks to automation and this big scary thing called the fourth industrial revolution, companies are streamlining. And as a result of the streamlining, they are hiring less and less and less people. Let me give you an example. When Instagram was sold to Facebook for $1 billion US, what's the current exchange rate? 1 to 15, right? 15 billion rand business. How many people do you think Instagram employed at that stage? Well, it was a bit more than that. 30 people. Less than the people in this room were driving $1 billion business. Now today when we think of $1 billion or 15 billion rand business, we think of this huge industry that has 300, 400 people, or 3,000 or 4,000 people. But such a small team built up so much of value. And this is what businesses of the future are actually going to look like. I mean, let's face it, companies are letting people go. They are streamlining. So that sector is on a decline. But it's just business. I mean, you and I would do the same thing, right? If you had a call center that employs 60 people and your annual salary bill was like 30 million rands, and I came to you and I said, and let's be honest here, right? If I said I can replace the 60 people with one machine, with one computer that could take all the calls from all the people that are making the calls from around the country, and that computer will cost you 50 grand. 50,000 once off, 30 million rands a year. What will you do as an entrepreneur? It's just business. That's the way business is going. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I'm saying it's the reality. Now, tell me, after all this that I've said to you right now, how do you feel? Scared? Concerned?
Angry.
Angry? I like that. Angry is actually a very good a good feeling. It's better than scared. Scared is more defensive, and angry is more on the offensive, right? There's a lot of innovation going on in the world. There's a lot of innovation, and I'll give you a few examples to give you a sense of what's going on in this crazy, crazy time that we're living in. This is an age that I like to call rise of the machines. You probably know it by its more famous name as it was introduced, Fourth Industrial Revolution. I hate that word, that term, Fourth Industrial Revolution. It's not industrial. It's the fourth revolution of the whole world. It's a revolution that involves everything. Our personal lives, our businesses, industry, everything. So I like to call it rise of the machines. It's an age we're living in when machines are starting to do things that were only possible for human beings to do before. You ever thought of it like that? Things that only human beings could do, today machines are doing. For example, you pick up your cell phone, you say, "Hey Siri." Lucky she didn't hear that. Because normally it didn't. "Yes, Bilal, how can I help you?" But you know what I'm saying. And you speak to it and it understands. Do a Google search for whatever. Call mom. And it understands. And it speaks back to you. Cars are starting to drive by themselves. They are starting to, imagine a machine driving a car. It's not the car driving itself, right? There's a computer inside it that's driving by itself. So this is what the fourth industrial revolution is all about. It's about machines starting to do things that only humans could do. Machines are no more just on the desk. Computers are not just these gadgets that are doing numbers and calculations on the desk. They're coming into the real world now. And that's why I call it rise of the machines. They're rising, they're showing what they are capable of. Now what's required from us as human beings is rise of the human beings. You see that now? We need to counter that rise of the machines with the rise of the humans. We need to be a step ahead of them, and I'll show you how we can be a step ahead of these machines. After all, these are our creations, right? We control them, we own them. But let me show you some of the innovation. This is a guy by the name of Lee Sedol, Korean guy. Can you see how frustrated he is? What is his demeanor is like this. He's got his head on his palm and he's deep in thought, but he's also looking stressed. It's because he's getting whooped at the game at which he's a world champion. It's a game called Go. And he's playing against a computer called AlphaGo. Now, listen to this story, right? You can read it in one of my articles. I write every week for 4 major newspapers: Daily News, the Argus, Sunday Tribune, and the Star. But you can also find my articles on the IT Varsity website. So I described this story here. What happened here is, instead of programming a computer to play the game Go, what the scientists decided to do was to give the computer machine learning capabilities. In other words, machines are now able to learn. So they fed it machine learning algorithms, and then what they did was they showed it games of Go being played. They never taught it how to play the game. They never input any rules of the game. They just showed it games being played. So what this thing did was, it sat there and it just observed game upon game upon game of Go being played. Eventually, it learned the rules of the game. And then it started doing something very creepy. Listen to this. It split itself into 2 personalities and started playing against itself. So 24 hours a day, it continued playing itself, until it became really good. So then they decided to do human testing, and they brought this guy in, Lee Sedol, world champion, untouchable player, best player in known history of humans in this game Go. And he says, right, play. This machine wiped him out, 4 games to 1. 4 games to 1. Yet scientists predicted that a machine would beat a human at this game round about the year 2200. That's still almost 80 years from now. So this machine did something that was predicted for 80 years in the future, but it already did it. Now, that's advancement in technology. That's what machines are capable of. This is the Tesla Model S, self-driving car. We already mentioned that. But what's really amazing about these cars is that they operate as a hive mind. In other words, every Tesla car on the road is talking to every other Tesla car continuously. So let me give you an example, right? One Tesla car is driving along the highway and there's an accident. Immediately that Tesla car will tell all the others there's an accident at this spot in the highway. So the others, kilometers before you come there, already know there's an accident. So they will drive extra safely. And they'll know exactly whether it's a temporary problem or it's a permanent problem on the road, but they're talking to each other. Can you imagine how this is going to transform road safety in this world? This is the Amazon Go store. What's missing? People are missing. It's not because the shop is closed. The shop is wide open for business. And there's no people because the shop doesn't have staff. This shop is run by AI systems, by artificial intelligence systems. There's no shelf packers, there's no cashiers, as you can see. You walk into the store, you scan your phone on that turnstile, you go in, you pick stuff from the shelf, you put it into your basket, you walk out. Done. It charges whatever you bought to your credit card. The entire experience is managed by artificial intelligence. This is the fourth industrial revolution as it's affecting the medical fraternity. The guy on the right panel, if you're a fan of Star Trek, which I'm a huge fan of Star Trek, he's Doc McCoy. And that gadget he's holding, in the 1960s when Star Trek came out, this was crazy science fiction. It was impossible to imagine a device like that. What does it do? If a person is sick, he just scans that person head to toe and it gives a person a complete diagnostic. What exactly is wrong with you, what disease that you have, and what's the cure for that. Imagine that. So it was science fiction. But now, that device is gone into production. In the next couple of years, you'll be able to buy this device and use it at home. Child is sick, do a scan. No need for doctors. It'll give you a full diagnostic without blood work, without taking out blood, without needles, and then you'll be able to communicate that to the robot pharmacy. There's a robot pharmacy in University of California in San Francisco that is managed entirely by robots. You bring your script, your prescription there, it takes it, goes, mixes your medication, drops it off to you. No mistakes. The center two panels, surgeon of the future. Yeah, we're going to be operated on by robots in the future. And dentist of the future. You go there, you open your mouth, and the robot will do everything for you. Are you more scared now? I'm terrifying you, right? But that's not my intention. That's not my intention. My intention is not to scare you. Like I said in the start, my intention is to encourage you. So what I gave you is only half the story. Now it's time for the other half. And I hope this other half will leave a better impression on you than the first half. The most important thing we can have right now as human beings is this: optimism. Look forward to the great things that the future holds. And stop asking the wrong questions. You see, I'm very particular and I'm very hard on people that ask the wrong questions. And everybody is asking the wrong questions, from government to industry to individuals to entrepreneurs like you. And you know what's the wrong question? The wrong question is, how is the fourth industrial revolution going to affect us? That's a victim question, friends. Since when did South Africans become victims? We are fighters. So the right question is, how can we use the fourth industrial revolution to improve our lives, our economy, and the lives of the people in our country. Now you're taking ownership, friends. Now you're owning it. Because 4IR technology is not something that's owned by certain people. It's there for everybody. You can set up 4IR in your business today. It's that simple. Do you own a cell phone? Welcome to the 4IR. That's fourth industrial revolution right in your pocket. Here's fourth industrial revolution on my wrist. Apple Watch. Your smartwatch, 4IR. Have you used an Uber? Yes. Right there is fourth industrial revolution. Have you made a booking online for a plane? Yes. Booked your seat? Yes. Can you imagine that? You're sitting on your phone and there's a picture of your plane and you pick a seat. And the next thing you go to the airport, that seat is waiting for you. Can you imagine this at least 10 years ago? We couldn't imagine something like that. But that's 4IR that's controlling all that. So why are we afraid? Not only is the 4IR here, but we are benefiting from it in ways that we can't even imagine. We have already been benefiting from it. But the trouble is, because we don't really know what it was or what it is, we are asking the wrong questions. Not how will it affect us, but how do I take ownership of it? And I'll give you a few examples. But before I go there, if there's anything you leave with today, friends, and this is something that I'm always driving home no matter where I go, what are the skills that we will require to not just survive, but to thrive the fourth industrial revolution? Now you remember I said it's not just rise of the machines, but rise of the humans. This is the time when we need to become more human than ever before. We need to tap our personal strengths and beat our machines at what we do. And machines have always been there. They've always taken jobs away. Like our MC said, when the first industrial revolution came in, machines took jobs away. Second industrial revolution, machine took jobs away. But what happened to the world population? Did we die of starvation? People found jobs. And not just that, but between 1900 and in the year 2000, the world population multiplied by 5 at least. And other than scenarios where there's high unemployment, generally everyone's got a job. So what we are going to do is, in the fourth industrial revolution, we are going to find ways to use this technology to advance ourselves. And we are going to transcend from the jobs that we are doing now to higher jobs. Let me give you an example, right? In the late 1800s, when the loom machine was invented, now the looms used to weave the cloth. Now before that, the cloth was woven by hand. Thousands of people were employed in that industry where they used to sit and weave the cloth. When the loom machine came up, when it was invented, people became afraid. We're going to lose our jobs. We're going to go out, we're going to starve. But what happened? The loom machines came in. That became the norm in industry. What did those people do? They went into higher professions. They became the graphic designers, the clothing designers. They started operating those machines. In the same way, at the time when the car became mainstream, all those people that were in the horse industry, can you imagine how many thousands of people were employed in the horse industry? Those that used to take care of them, the vets, the blacksmiths that used to put the shoes on the horses, those people used to make the saddles, all of them wiped out overnight. The motor vehicle came in. Where did those people go? They went into other industries. How many of you have seen a VCR machine? You know that old cassette recorder thing you used to put a big black cassette inside? When last did you see one? Do you realize what a huge industry that was? Employing tens of millions of people globally. And it's not just in the manufacturing of those machines. Think broad. Think bigger than that. Manufacturing, servicing, selling, distribution. So many jobs. But not just that. What about the cassettes? Manufacturing those cassettes. putting content onto those cassettes. We used to go to the video store, hire a movie. How did the movie get there? There was an entire industry related to putting the content onto those cassettes. Overnight, that is gone. Where do we get our entertainment today? Streaming. Video cassettes went. CDs came and went. Blu-ray had a very short lifespan. And now it's all streaming. Where did those millions and millions of people go? You see what I'm driving at, people? Yeah. When technology takes certain jobs away, it creates other opportunities. But now we need to find those opportunities. And opportunities only come when you are looking for it. Now let me give you an example, right? This is an exercise you're going to do for the rest of today. Me personally, my dream vehicle is a Ford Ranger double cab. I love those Ford Rangers, but I can't afford one. See, I can't afford a Ford. But maybe I should go and see the Standard Bank manager for some help there. Nonetheless, wherever I drive, I always see Ford Rangers. Today, wherever you go, you're going to see Ford Rangers. Right? Coming here this morning, you never saw any Ford Rangers, but you probably passed a few. Right? In the past few days, you never saw Ford Rangers, but you probably passed a few also, but they passed you. But today, because I'm talking about it, you're going to notice it. Now think of the Ford Rangers as opportunities. When you're looking for it, you will find it. When you're not looking for it, so now, how do you get yourself ready to see and grab those opportunities? Friends, here it is. Firstly, we need mental elasticity. Now, mental elasticity, to me, it's two things. One is giving up all your old ideas and embracing new ideas. That's the one thing. And the second thing is unlearning what you learned before and learning new skills. You know that old mentality that, hey, I'm a qualified whatever, and I'm not going to change. Yeah. Those people are going to be unemployed. Yeah. But that person that says, wow, new technology, how can I implement this in my work to be better at what I do? Now that person has got mental elasticity, and that person is going to thrive in the workplace. Second thing, creativity. Now when we think about creativity, what do we think of?
Clothes.
Clothes, design, graphic, art. Yes, it's that, but it's a whole lot more than that. It's a whole lot more than that. Creativity is all about bringing something into the world that didn't exist before. In whatever field, whether it's in industry, whether it's in your office, whether it's in entrepreneurship, it's not just about art and design. Unfortunately, we are not taught creativity at school. In fact, if anything, schools kill creativity. But if you got creativity, it'll open up your mind to new opportunities. And I'll give you some examples. The next thing is problem-solving skills. Now, Elon Musk, famous ex-South African, I mentioned the Tesla car, right? He's the founder of the company. He said something very, very profound. He said, you are paid in proportion to the size of the problems that you solve. The bigger the problem you solve, the more you get paid. The bigger the problems you're solving, now think about it. This is deep. And it just doesn't only apply at work. It applies in entrepreneurship. It applies in every aspect of our lives. Think about Facebook, right? How did Facebook start? Tell me. Why did Mark Zuckerberg start Facebook? To solve a problem. You know what was his problem? He was too shy to meet girls. Right? Like so many of us guys, like they're going to kill us and eat us up or something. So he was a nerd at college, and he was too shy to meet girls. So he came up with this website where he put his picture and his information, his profile, and all his likes and dislikes, and he called it the Facebook. And when his friends saw that, they says, well, Mark, can we put our profiles on the Facebook? So he says, okay, go for it. And more nerds like him started to figure out that this is useful, and so they started putting up their profiles. And then the academic world saw the benefit of this. And then the business world saw the benefit of this. And today, there's about 2 billion users on Facebook, and Mark is a multi-billionaire. But he solved a small problem. See? Problem-solving skills. He identified the problem, and he solved the problem. The next thing is people skills. If we don't have people skills, we will never succeed. Trust me. In the age of computers, in the age of artificial intelligence, there's one thing that computers will never have. People skills. And the better we are with people, the more we're likely to succeed. And I'll give you an example. Imagine in the workplace, right? A group of people at work working together to solve a problem. What is that called? Teamwork, collaboration. Now take that exact same scenario and apply it to school, in the exam room. A group of people working together to solve a problem is called what? Copying. Can you see the problem here? At work, it's a desirable trait. At work, if I'm sitting all alone and I refuse to be a team player, I'll likely get fired, right? Yes. But at school, we make teamwork as if it's something wrong, as if it's a crime. But this is wrong. We need to become more people. We need to be able to communicate better. We need to be able to understand people better. And by understanding people and empathizing with people, that's where you will understand people's problems, and that's when you'll be able to solve those problems. You understand? If you are detached from people, you'll never understand what difficulties they are going through. Why did Uber start off? Uber started off because it was difficult to get a ride in the busy American cities. So the founders realized that we have a problem and we need to solve this problem. How can we find a ride, a lift from one place to the other? Okay, we'll build an app. Today, Uber is worth what? $60 billion US. They solved a problem for people and they became successful. So problem solving and people skills are very closely related. The next one is critical thinking. You know, the problem with us, and it's general, it's everybody, life is just very hectic. And we are on the highway of life. Always moving, there's no time for anything. It's like a treadmill at the gym, you know, somebody put it on high speed and we're just running all the time. What we need to do, friends, is to sometimes just stop and look at the world around us. You know, like when we go overseas for a holiday, let's say you had an opportunity to go to Istanbul. Wow, foreign culture, foreign people, foreign food, exciting. We see so many new and exciting things. But do we see those new and exciting things in our own place? We don't, because it's business as usual. And because we've been doing things our whole lives in a certain way, we're going to continue doing those things. Sam? It works in the business world also. It's business as usual. Because we are doing things for the past couple of decades a certain way and it works, we'll continue. But if we stop and we look around us and we ask a question, what's wrong with the world around me and how can I fix it? And if you find that answer, a business model there, right there. You got yourself a business idea which you can further develop. And I'll give you some examples. Let me give you one example. Take a look at this. Who can tell me what this is? Somebody said it's something from the cartoon SpongeBob. But it looks like a pirate ship, right? Yes. It looks like a jumping castle or a kid's ride or something like that. Let me tell you what this is. It's a whole lot more serious than you can imagine. This is an MRI scanner in a hospital. You know the full body scanners? It's one of those. But then the question is, why is it designed to look like a pirate ship? And I'll give you the story behind it. It's a very touching story. So the guy that designed this was working for a company called General Electric. His name is Doug Dietz. So they designed this machine, and it's a marvel of technology. It's absolutely brilliant. They even submitted it for International Design Awards, and I think it won some awards. And it was a success, and lots of hospitals started buying it. So this guy, Doug, what he did was, he decided to go and visit one of the hospitals where this machine was in operation, just to see what's the customer experience like. And he says, what I saw there made my heart break. There was a little girl, a little child, and she was thin and frail, she was sickly. And they brought her into the room where this machine was. That time it didn't look like this. They brought her into the room, and then she held her father's hand tight and she started crying. She says, Dad, I'm scared. I don't want to go in that thing. She was so terrified of that machine. So what the nurse did was, she called for an anesthetist. She said, we have to knock this girl out. So Doug went up to the nurse and he said, but that's not necessary. You don't need to be unconscious to go in this machine. But she says, look at this child. There's no way we're going to get her in that machine while she's awake. She's terrified. She's crying hysterically. So immediately Doug knew that he made a mistake. And he has a problem that he needs to solve. Can you see the waves? Let's go back to those waves. So they have the technology, but they ignored some of the other aspects. So he had to go back and think critically about his own machine. You know, it's easy to think critically about other people's work, right? I don't like how you dressed, I don't like your shoes, I don't like the article you wrote, this is the problem. But for our own, it's very difficult to criticize. But what he did was, he went and he criticized. And he asked himself, what is good for people, not for machines? This machine is not built for machines, it's built for people. So then they decided they had a problem and they needed to solve that problem. It was out of the question to go and redesign the machine. It took them 3 years and hundreds of millions of dollars of expense to design that machine. So they needed to be creative about how they're going to solve that problem. So he got together with his team and he says, well, look, let's start by getting rid of all our old ideas about what an MRI scanner should look like. Because what people thought it should look like is a serious hospital machine. So they had to undo that and rethink the whole thing. And so, by going through that whole process, they came up with this. They decided, let's make the machines more friendly for children. We'll put stickers to make it look like a theme park. And this one looks like a pirate ship, but they had other ones also. And not only that, but we'll design a story out of it. So the nurse, instead of standing there doing nothing, she will tell the child a story. She will say, welcome aboard, we're going to go for a ride on a pirate ship. And then the child is happy now, because it's exciting to go in a pirate ship ride. And as the machine starts and it starts making all its noises, all the terrifying noises, then the nurse is saying, no, don't worry, that's the sounds of the pirate ship, that's the anchor being raised, and that's the pirates at work on the deck. Don't be afraid. And this entire experience was completely transformed for these children. Doug says, I went and visited a hospital afterwards, and I knew we succeeded because as I was standing there, the one girl finished the MRI scan, and she asked her dad, she says, Dad, can we please come back tomorrow? Now, through that, he became the head of his $19 billion department, just through that one thing. Now that, my friends, is something no machine on earth can ever accomplish. It's a human thing. He saw this child, just like you felt sorry for her. You don't even know who this child was, but it made you feel something, right? The story made you feel something, and it made him feel something. You see that feeling? That's our strength. That's the human in you. That's the success in you. The anger, that's the human in you. Machines don't feel these things. And now we need to leverage these things to make our world a better place. For me, The personal feeling is the high unemployment rate in our country. So I started a business. IT Varsity is my vision. It's not just my business. It's my vision to take young people, empower them with skills, empower them with this entrepreneurial spirit, and put them out into the world and make them into leaders and champions. And I'll give you an example, right? When I was, how much time do I have? About 5 years ago, when I just started my business, that time we had a face-to-face campus in Joe Slovo Street. And one night we were having an event just like this. It was a late night event. People were hungry, we ordered pizza. Along comes this pizza delivery guy. Comes, drops off the pizza, but now he's interested, he's looking around. And he wants to know what's going on. So he says, well, we're an IT college and we're having this program for IT professionals, etc., etc. So he asked for permission to stay and look around. He said, fine, go ahead. After a while, he comes back to me. He says, Mr. Bilal, can I study IT? I says, yeah, you can study. Here's the price of the course, etc. He says, see, I got a problem. I came to Durban with no money. I was living on the streets, and these pizza guys, they gave me a job, they gave me some food to eat, they gave me a place to sleep. That's all I got. So I said to him, Malik, his name, he said, Malik, don't worry, get started. We'll sort you out. So he started studying, we organized a bursary for him, and he completed his studies, he did exceptionally well. We placed him into a company, he did so well at that company, they sent him to India for further studies. He went, he furthered his studies, he came back, he started his own business. Today, he's running a successful business right here in Durban. He's married, and incidentally, here's my favorite part. He married an IT Varsity student. Oh. And not only that, but he was nominated among the 15 most enterprising young tech entrepreneurs in South Africa this year. What an achievement. Guys, you are all winners. You just need somebody to give you a kick, right? In the best possible way. And I'll give you a couple more examples and then I will conclude. About 2 years ago, this couple came to me. And like I said, I feel it very difficult to not assist people, especially people that are enterprising, people want to make something of their lives. So the trouble they had was, the husband, who was 60 plus, was retrenched from his job. He was working in a takeaway, he was retrenched, and now they were out of a job. The wife wasn't working. So they came all worried and stressed out, what are we going to do? So I asked the wife, what do you do best? She says, well, everybody says good things about the pizzas that I make. I says, well, why don't you start selling pizzas? So she says, but how? There's debonaires and then there's Romans and then you know it. There's big chains. How are we going to fight against them? How are we going to go and do business against them? I says, don't worry about that. My late dad taught me one thing about business. He said, there's always place for one more. Yes. There's always place. If you're sincere and you're hardworking, there's always place. So then anyways, they got started. So we went through a creative process. We came up with a nice name for them and a nice branding and social media accounts. And they were still reluctant. They were still a bit scared. But then they started. They got onto WhatsApp groups. They started putting out their adverts, doing deliveries in the town. A year later, they came back to me. And he says, Bilal, we got another problem. I says, what? He says, we can't cope anymore. We are so busy. We can't cope. A year later, this was about 3 months ago, they came back to me again. Now what? He says, we're going for an overseas vacation. From unemployed, within 2 years, to overseas vacation. And that's a success story, friends. And that's not a success story that happened in Silicon Valley. It's a success story that happened right here. I gave you 2 stories. You want one more? Guys, the most powerful business tool in the world right now is the one you're holding in your hand, that cell phone. I do all my business on my cell phone. We started Here's a confession, right? IT Varsity failed once. About 4 years ago, it failed. My whole business went under. But then we came back in a fully online mode. We relaunched around about early this year, around about January. And to date, we've got 260 students from all over the world, even students in Haiti. But how did we get students so far away? Through the cell phone. And I'll give you an example. I interviewed a young lady. She works for one of the big corporates. And she had a problem, which all of us have. Her salary is just not enough, right? We all know it. Come 15th of the month and the bank is telling us, debit orders are bouncing and what else. So what she did was to start a side gig. Now see how encouraging this is. She didn't leave a full-time job. She started a side business. What does she do? Now please don't go and steal her idea. There's place for one more always. She goes to the people selling second-hand clothes on the pavements and she selects clothes from there. She buys it, takes it home, washes it, makes it look clean and smart, takes professional-looking photos with her cell phone and puts it on Instagram.
Nice.
Now think about this, right? That's her business. She says it took at least a year or two to catch on, but now she's making more money on her Instagram business than at her workplace. But she hasn't left her job. She's not neglecting her job in any way. She doesn't have to do anything actively. In the morning she puts out her posts. Throughout the day people purchase. She says, Bilal, I put stuff in the morning, by afternoon it's sold out. And whatever is sold, the money has already come through, she dispatches in the afternoon. When she gets home, she dispatches, she goes and drops off at the post office, and boom, off it goes. Happy customers. And she added such a nice touch to it. What she does is, as she's packing the goods, she records herself doing that. And then she puts that on Instagram also. And she says to her customer, whatever the customer's name, if Tandi bought something from her, she says, Tandi, this is your stuff. I'm about to ship it for you. Be ready for it. In a day or two, it'll be there. So Tandi will see that on Instagram and say, wow, my stuff is getting packed. It's going to be shipped. And then she'll go and look from the window. So, one more example, right? I know a lady in Polokwane who drives a BMW M3, right? So you know what her financial status is. She's very poor. You know what she does? Very similar. She sells shoes on Facebook. And how to? She goes to the wholesale and she just takes photos of shoes that she likes. She's a shoe expert. She's a fancy madam. Really, she's fancy. So she knows what other fancy madams like her like. So she takes photos of the shoes and she posts them to Instagram. What is her capital outlay for that business? Zero. She doesn't have to buy stocks. All she does is take photos, she puts it up, people order, she takes the orders, she collects the money, she takes the money, she goes, buys the shoe from the wholesale, and she ships it from there. Right there. She uses the customer's own money to buy the stock. But they're happy. They got no time to go to the wholesale. They got no time to see what's the latest trends. She does all of that for them. She uses her knowledge and her experience with clothing to serve her customers. And then she ships all over the country. And she's doing phenomenally well. Friends, the formal employment sector has gone down and it's still declining. But the good news is, the smiling face is this, that entrepreneurship has gone easier than ever before. If you wanted to start a shop 10 years ago or 20 years ago, you'd need to find premises, you need to negotiate a lease, you'd need capital to buy goods, to fit out your shop, you'd need money for advertising, and it was a headache. Today, you can go home now and start a business on Instagram and on Facebook. Take what you're passionate about and start selling that. If you're good at something, start selling your service. How easy it is to start a business. Now let me ask you a question. How do you feel? That's all I wanted to hear. Just like the little girl that says, can we come back tomorrow? As long as you're leaving with a smile and you're leaving with an anger and a determination to get started with your business. Don't wait. If you're in a full-time job, go for it. Start your own business. Don't neglect your job. Start a side gig. That side gig will become your mainstream business. How many people started side gigs and those became multi-billion-dollar businesses? Don't be afraid. And let me tell you something. Don't be afraid because your first business is going to be a failure. But you'll come out much wiser. You will have learned what's the better way of doing it. I failed in one way, I'll succeed in another way. That's us human beings. We're learning all the time. We're making mistakes. You know when they're training people to be jugglers? In the first few months of juggling, they tell them, drop the ball. Just keep dropping it. Why? To make them not be afraid of dropping the ball. And when you're not afraid of failing, that's when you become a success. Only if you're afraid of failing, then you're holding yourself back. Oh, I can't start. What if I fail? Get out there, friends. Use social media. Use WhatsApp. Use all the contacts on your device and make yourself a success in business. You don't need highly technical skills. And if your business model requires that, then go and find people that will partner with you. Go and find people who are techies, who are coders, that will help you out. And there's lots of them out there. I've got students who will help you. So many people came up to me and said, I got a business idea, but I got no technical skill. I says, fine, I got students, I'll hook you up with a student, give them some shares in your company, and they will work for you, even for free. Even for free, they'll work for you initially because they want that experience, right? When they get that experience, then they can get a job. So they can use you as a reference. So friends, that's my message for today. Don't be afraid, get started. And lastly, I need you to look at this. Race, read, learn. Keep yourself up to date. Put your TV away. Give yourself about an hour of TV, but read. This is one thing, especially the younger generation, and I keep talking to my own sons about it. You guys don't read. When you read, it opens up your mind. It boosts your creativity. Anticipate problems and opportunities. Look at the world around you. By reading, you will see opportunities. You'll see, wow, these guys in the United States are doing this. These guys in China are doing this. How can I tweak that model for South Africa and make my own version of it? Then create some options and solutions. And in creating these, you'll find yourself a business idea. And why shouldn't you profit from it? If you're solving a problem for people, you should profit from it. And finally, jump to action, execute, stop talking, stop thinking, and start doing. Because the best business idea in the world, the next multi-billion-dollar business in the world that's still in your head is useless until you execute. You take it, you put it down in black and white, and you present it. You go and take an appointment with Mr. Sam and says, I've got this business plan. How can Standard Bank fund this business idea? You see that? It has to come to the real world. Don't keep it in your head. With those few words, my friends, I will stop now. You can contact me. I'm on LinkedIn. Just do a search for my name on LinkedIn and you will find me. Please get in touch. If you need any advice, any ideas, I'll be happy to help you. And the best part is, it's free. Thanks a lot.